Good morning. Welcome to the Ventura Center for Spiritual Living. I'm Reverend Bonnie Rose. It is wonderful to see you here this morning, and also blessings to the people that are watching us online. Thank you so much for joining us, and welcome to our Kindness Cathedral. I'm going to turn it over to Lonnie now.
Good morning, everyone. It's so wonderful to see everyone in person and Facebook and then YouTube, and gosh, so many places that we can be seen.
Yes.
And that's a good thing. So welcome this morning, and I know we're going to have an amazing day just to start out this Sunday in joy, in kindness, and in love.
Thank you, Lonnie. Yeah, shoo.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I'm Bill Hadris with Youth and Family.
Any of the kids want to come down?
You guys want to join me today? Okay, come on down.
Hi, you guys.
Awesome.
Hi. Hi.
One more.
One more.
Right.
Yay! You made it. Yeah. Hi.
Are our lives fulfilled with luck or faith? I believe it's faith. Faith is a complete trust or confidence in someone or something. Faith is believing. Believing is knowing. And knowing is trusting that someone or something is always available to you and supports you. A lot of things happen every day. Some feel good and others feel bad. When you embrace or have faith in the good in people, places, things, situations, then more good will come to you. You create your good luck. Sometimes you may not feel good about yourself. You think you could have been kinder or helped more or done better. It's best to release these negative feelings. You can't change the past. Energy flows where our attention goes. Right now, it's more beneficial to embrace the good in ourselves and things rather than turning our attention to what we don't want to experience. So look for the good and keep your thoughts joy-filled and happy. Know with faith that life will flow with ease and fun and good luck. So I invite you to repeat after me. Today I see good everywhere. And so it is.
Doreen will lead us in prayer.
Okay. See, I don't even have to ask. Look, all the practitioners just stand. And for the rest of you, just look around and see the love that's surrounded in this room. So if you'll join me by closing your eyes and taking a deep breath. And then as you exhale, just allow yourself to just be right here and right now. That the chair you're sitting in or the ground you're standing on, wherever you are the one. You are the one with the love, the joy, the harmony, the peace that is God. And so as we gather here together, this is our opportunity to remember the truth of who we are. That as we listen to the music, that as we are served by all that has said yes to join here today and being of service, and most importantly, and especially just allowing our hearts and our minds to open up to what Reverend Bonnie has to share with us today, that divine message just fills us up and allows us to, again, just truly sink into that truth of who we are. So knowing that this service is absolutely perfect, that we get exactly what we need all the time, but specifically today, that it just grounds us and allows us to be who we truly are. I just say thank you, God, and release this word into the power of the law. And so it is. Amen.
And you continue to breathe deeply. into the spaciousness that is always with us. Doreen's beautiful words reminded us of it, but we breathe into it, knowing that it is so. And as we enter into spaciousness, we relax our bodies. We notice any tension and we let it go. And we allow ourselves to become receptive as we listen to the words of our sacred reading.
An excerpt from Spiritual Passages by Reverend Scott Aubrey, to be found at www.spiritualpassages.org. St. Patrick was born in Scotland in the 5th century. At the age of 16, he was captured by Irish pirates and sold into slavery. He escaped years later and entered the monastery of St. Martin in France. After becoming a cleric, he returned to Ireland, where he faced imprisonment and execution, but survived to preach and teach, to build churches and schools. He became not just a saint, but a patron saint, a benefactor, a champion, and a mentor. St. Patrick wrote, "May the strength of God pilot us. May the wisdom of God instruct us. May the hand of God protect us. May the word of God direct us. Be always ours this day and forevermore." End quote. Listen to this affirmative prayer. Infinite Presence, I give thanks for the mentoring spirit in us all. Today I see the champion, the saint in my brothers and sisters, and I celebrate the divine potential in each one. Top of the morning to us all, wishing us all the joy our hearts can hold. Thank you, God, forever. Amen.
And so let us continue to breathe into that divine energy, that power and that presence, that grace that fills us always, that is who we are. Some of us call it God, love, power, light, higher power, spirit. Whatever it is we call it, we know that we are one with it. And today we take some time to dedicate our remembrance to the truth of our being. Let us sing together, I am remembering who I am, as we remember for ourselves, but also remember for all beings everywhere, for the entire cosmos. I am remembering who I am. And in this space of divine remembrance, let us breathe in deeply and then exhale in love and in service to what is, as it is, and so it is, as we slowly open our eyes. Namaste. What an appropriate and timely song. Thank you, choir. Thank you for the video, for the singing, for the leadership. Really appreciate it. Thank you. Okay, so the talk this morning is Focus on the Helpers. Focus on the Helpers. And some of you may be familiar with what that quote is from. It's a paraphrase of our friend Fred Rogers, who is also in our choir loft right there. Look at that. And Fred Rogers said, when I was a boy, I would see scary things in the news. My mother would say to me, look for the helpers. You will always find people who are helping. And that's a source of comfort for many of us when things are going in a troubled direction, to recognize that for every challenge, for every tragedy, there are hundreds, if not thousands, of people putting prayer energy, putting prayerful action, putting kindness, putting compassion into the world. So that's something to focus on, not at the expense of what else is going on, holding them both in balance, but also to not let ourselves get sucked into the tragedy, and to understand that this is an invitation for greater helpfulness and greater compassion. So I'm going to start with a story. There's a story from the Zen Buddhist tradition where a young monk goes in to see his master, and he says, Master, I'm very concerned about something that is happening in my life. And the master says, what is it? What is it? How can I help you? What are you concerned about? And the young monk says, I think I'm a dog. And the master says, oh my goodness, how long have you felt this way? And the young monk says, ever since I was a puppy. Now that's a metaphor. Because sometimes we think we're something we're not, right? We think we're limited. We think we're one with fear when truly we're one with love. We think we're separate from God. And we've been believing these things ever since we were puppies. Maybe not when we first come into the world. There's stories about babies remembering who they are. But many of us forget through race consciousness, the consciousness of the human race, what that means, through our own programming, through our own body reactions to fear and stress. Many of us forget who we really are. We forget our oneness with God and our unlimited capacity to be healers and sources of light in the world. It's so easy to forget. What we're dealing with a lot, I've been speaking with a lot of people about what's going on in Ukraine, and many people are very distressed. And I'm calling it invasions of fear, despair, and helplessness, a deep feeling of helplessness. It seems to be the primary thing that I'm encountering with people, myself as well. And it's not only external, but it's also inner invasions of fear, despair, and helplessness. And many people are asking why? Why is this happening? If there's a God, why is this happening? And, honestly, I think any minister who says they know the exact answer to that is maybe not being as truthful as he or she could be, because I don't really know the answer. I do know that it feels like a wake-up call. It feels like an opportunity to do something different, to inspire the planet to do something different. And I also know that there is a strange paradoxical value in learning through adversity and learning through challenges, and learning also through suffering. Richard Rohr says that suffering and love are the two greatest things that can wake us up to a deeper expression of love within ourselves. Not love that's easy, but love that's difficult, and love that's challenging. And that is love that really brings us to the core of our being, to the core of what we would call here the Christ consciousness, the core of oneness that encompasses not only love for ourselves, not only for our loved ones, but love for everyone. And so that's what I think is my why of this. And there's also, there's my favorite line from musical theater, I think encompasses this too. It's not Sing Out Louise, just so you know. If you haven't seen Gypsy, you didn't get that joke. But anyway, it's this. It's from the Fantastics, where they say in the song, try to remember, without a hurt, the heart is hollow. That to me is the most profound line in musical theater ever. If somebody else can think of a better one that's more profound and more true, please feel free, shout it out. I don't hear anything, but anyway, without a hurt, the heart is hollow. And that's what Richard Rohr is talking about when he's saying that great love and great suffering can transform us. And if it was easy to love, if everything was paradise, then we wouldn't go into the depth of love that we actually need to evolve into the spiritual beings that we already are. Isn't that a paradox? We evolve into what we already are. So I think things that happen in the world, tragedies, whether personal, global, or whatever, are to deepen our hearts and to deepen our souls so that we have a greater capacity to love. So the purpose today is to learn to see and be a helper. Because if we're focusing on the helpers, we can focus on the helpers around the world, but we can also focus on the inner helpers, which are ourselves. This is actually, I use this picture. I was cut off from the internet. I've been cut off from the internet for like 5 days, which feels to me like I'm living on Gilligan's Island, because everything I want to do and have to do, I can't do. I have to go to Starbucks or something to do it, which Starbucks is a war zone for me because of certain addictions that I won't go into. But this is actually a picture of me being helped. This is me. Isn't that a pretty shot of me? Of my backside and my dirty feet? I'm going, and I'm not actually, I'm being helped, but it's not like a tragic situation. There was a roof party on this roof in India, and there was a better roof party up here. So these men, and it's a very modest culture in this particular part of India, these two men, put their hands on my bottom, boosted me up to this first part of the wall, and then these men lifted me over the rest of the wall. That's being a helper. That was the best I could come up with no internet. But anyway, so the purpose is to learn to see and be a better helper. And really, there's this quote from, I don't know, George Gurdjieff Uspensky, somebody like that, sorry, who said, we are here to work on ourselves, only ourselves. Thank anyone who gives you the opportunity. Ew. We are here to work on ourselves, only ourselves. Thank anyone who gives us the opportunity. And so part of our addressing something like Ukraine or other tragedies in the world is to work on our own level of fear, despair, and helplessness. What are we feeling inside? Are we feeling fear, and can we work with that in a new way? Are we feeling despair, and can we work with that in a new way? Are we feeling helplessness, and can we work with that in a new way? Starting by thinking of these invasions, these innervasions of fear, despair, and helplessness as invitations. They're an invitation to the greater yet to be. Can you think about something in your life that feels challenging, that feels difficult, and recognize that it is really an invitation to do deeper work on yourself, on your spirit, on your soul, on your inner being, to evolve you into that person that we remember every Sunday, that being that we remember, the I Am Presence, to evolve you into your full realization of that I Am Presence. Everything that happens is an invitation. Every obstacle is an opportunity. So, an invitation. You are invited to awakening, spaciousness, and compassion. Start with awakening. This is awakening to our true nature, to who we really are. I was listening to a podcast by one of my spiritual teachers, Rupert Spira, and Rupert Spira had what I thought was a great explanation of who we really are. You know, so often when we're doing spiritual practice, we're trying to get somewhere. We're thinking that this thing that we're supposed to become is somehow outside of us, and if we can only have enough achievements, if we can only study hard enough, if we can only meditate, if we can only meditate long enough, if we can only meditate without that monkey mind going in our heads, then we'll finally get there someday, and someday we will be evolved. The truth is that right where you are, the I Am Presence is. You are the I Am Presence right now. And the reason I have a baby in a bathtub there was that he likened it unto when we go to take a shower or take a bath, we peel off all of these layers, and then we just have this being beneath all of the layers of clothing. And everybody, every single one of us here has a naked being beneath all of the layers of clothing that we pile upon it. It's true for everything in the universe. You know, those flowers wouldn't take off their clothes, but if we covered up the flowers with something and then pulled it off, the flowers would be there in their essence. Our naked being is our essence, and we share this with all humanity. We all have a naked being underneath the layers we put upon ourselves. Now think of that in terms of the true self, the true inner self, the soul. We are piling layers and layers and layers and layers and layers of things upon ourselves. You know, the beliefs that I talked about when the monk thought he was a puppy, right? The beliefs that we've learned since childhood, we're putting those layers, and as we start to peel off those layers, we start to see the true light of consciousness, the true light of the Christ, the true light of the Buddha nature shining through. So it's not adding unto ourselves. We cannot add 1 cubit to our stature. It's peeling off the layers to become that which we already are. And that's part of the work that we do in this spiritual center. We peel off the layers. We peel off the layers of self-judgment, of guilt, of reacting to despair, of reacting to tragedy in a way that frightens ourselves and everybody else. We peel off those layers and we hold ourselves in the esteem of the dignity of the I Am Presence that we truly are. So that's awakening. That's awakening. I'm assuming you all have a naked body under your clothes, right? Don't need to see it right now, but I'm just saying, you know, next time you take off your clothes, perhaps remember this. Remember this. That there is something essential that is absolutely you, that is underneath all of the layers, and then apply it to our minds. There is something in my heart and in my mind that is absolutely essential to who I am. And I've put some layers on it, but they can be taken off as well. Then there's spaciousness. And for me, spaciousness is the same as saying love and joy. Many, many mystics, Rupert Spira being one of them, says that the universe is made of love and joy, partially because that we're all seeking love and we're all seeking joy or happiness or whatever it is you want to call it. Ernest Holmes, our founder, talks about how love is the essential nature of the universe, that the universe is essentially good because if it wasn't good, it would destroy itself. And it may feel like it's destroying itself at times, but really it's just evolving. So the essential nature of the universe is love and joy. And where do we find that love and joy? We certainly can feel like we find it outside of ourselves, but it's really here within us all of the time. It is in the I am presence that occurs when we strip off the layers that we have upon us. And if we were to go deeper, beyond our naked selves, we would go into our bodies. And what would we find? Ultimately, we'd find cells, and then we'd find atoms and molecules, and then the more quantum-y things that are beneath that. And ultimately, the body is mostly empty space. Ultimately, everything solid is mostly empty space. So hard to imagine. This came alive for me one time long ago when I was in a seminar, and it was one of those like empower yourself seminars, and we were breaking boards with our hands, like karate, hiya. Whoops. Like I just did a politically incorrect thing. I just profiled karate choppers. Okay, sorry. I'm going to get put in Facebook jail. Okay. Anyway. It was a very quiet profiling. But anyway, so I smashed the board with my hand, and it was pretty cool. It was kind of fun. But then there was this other thing where you visualized that the board wasn't even there. You closed your eyes and you visualized that the board wasn't there, that it was just empty space. And you took your hand and you held it up and you just let it drop like that. And the board would split apart because the board really was empty space. Now, I wasn't able to do it. My husband did it, but I wasn't able to do it. I was still too committed to that board being present, plus the sting of the first chop was still in my hand, so it felt very real to me. But that to me just seemed like such a piece of evidence for the empty space that's in all of us. And if I had more sophisticated equipment and I looked inside people's bodies and looked at their cells, yes, we're mostly empty space. And what abides in that empty space, in that void of empty space, is love and joy. We are not only connected to love and joy, the empty space within us, which is most of who we are, is love and joy. So we discover the I am presence, all of the layers that we peel off, and then we go deeper and we discover, oh my goodness, the I am presence is mostly love and joy. Perhaps that can be of service. Perhaps that can be a helper as we're focusing on being and seeing the helpers. So if you would, take a moment to just sense your body, Feel the aliveness in your hand or your feet or your shoulders or wherever you might be holding tension, and just relax it. And then breathe into that and just sense, there is love and joy here. There is love and joy here. There is mostly empty space here, and it is love and joy, and the love and joy is the I am presence that I am. And we're doing it now, perhaps. What if we were to do that 20, 30, 40, 50 times a day? Every time we waited online, every time we drove and we stopped at a stoplight, every time we stopped at a stop sign, every time we ordered a latte at Starbucks, every time we did something, we just relaxed and said, yes, I feel the spaciousness in the cells of my body, and this is who I am. I am love and joy. Do you think that would equip us better to love and to help and to serve and to live in a greater state of compassion? I think it would. And then the last one is, of course, compassion. We take that love and that joy that we feel within us and we allow it to activate the act of compassion, which is, again, compassion is, the word compassion means to suffer with. So that means that not only can we hold our own suffering, but we can hold the suffering of the world in the spaciousness within us. The spaciousness within us is like this room. Anything can come into this room, and this room would not kick it out. We might kick it out if it was something that we didn't want in here. We might actively kick it out. But this room itself is spacious. If an elephant came in here, I would welcome it personally. But this room itself is spacious. It can hold whatever comes in here. And that's the same with the spaciousness within us. We can hold whatever tensions, whatever fear, whatever sense of despair, whatever sense of longing, whatever sense of helplessness we have, we can hold that, holding it within us, but also holding it at a distance so that we can see it. And then we can learn to have compassion for it, and we can learn to love it. In fact, we don't even have to learn. As long as we just hold it and become aware of it and breathe with it, and allow that love and joy in the spaciousness of ourselves. This is a very embodied practice. It's not particularly intellectual, but just allow that love and joy in the spaciousness of ourselves. We draw the idea into our heart, into our bodies, and allow our bodies to relax around it. Then we find that our bodies truly can hold everything without violating any part of us. Our hearts can hold anything without being violated. I was going to say something really profound, but I forgot what it was. Okay, maybe it'll come back. Nope, it's gone. Okay. So this is part of taking our compassion then out into the world and being with people. If we can be with ourselves in a state of witnessing, in a state of just being with what is, allowing what is, allowing that part of ourselves that Ernest Holmes talks about that cannot be violated, to allowing what is to rest in that part, then we can do it for ourselves and we can also be present for other people. This is a quote from Parker Palmer, who's a Quaker, one of our Quaker friends, and he talked in this article about when he was diagnosed with cancer and how many people wanted to fix him and how many people wanted to give him good advice. And it was largely because they were not uncomfortable with him. I mean, they were uncomfortable with him having cancer, so they wanted to fix him so that they could feel better, right? I've done that. I've done that on many occasions. I want someone to feel better so that I can feel better. It's a subtlety that happens with a lot of healers that we have to be aware of. Happens with a lot of humans as well. But anyway, Parker Palmer wrote, "Witnessing and companioning take time and patience, which we often lack, especially when we're in the presence of suffering so painful we can barely stand to be there, as if we were in danger of catching a contagious disease, as if we were in danger of catching suffering or catching despair. We want to apply our fix, then cut and run, figuring we've done the best we can to, quote unquote, save the other person." And then he says, "And yet we have something better, our gift of self in the form of personal presence and attention, the kind that invites the other's soul to show up. So our invitation to be present with the spaciousness within us, with the part within us that can witness anything, invites the soul of the other to show up. If we can just be quiet and listen and not have to fix, we allow the I Am presence, God, the Holy Spirit, Jesus, Buddha, Allah, whoever we want to call it, that starts to work on the problem from the inside out, on the alleged problem from the inside out. That starts to transform the invasion to the invitation, the obstacle to the opportunity. As Mary Oliver has written, "This is the first, the wildest, and the wisest thing I know, that the soul exists and is built entirely out of attentiveness." Can we all realize in this moment how powerful our attentiveness is? Our willingness to sit and be attentive with another person in our presence who is suffering, or another person, a portion of the world, a country, an alleged enemy, to sit and be in the presence of that suffering and just allow our inner being to hold it at arm's length, draw it in, allow that spaciousness to transform it as it transforms us, or to transform us as it transforms it. Because there is only one. I know, does this sound like it's not going to do anything? It does a little bit to me. It sounds like, how is that going to help? But I guarantee that it does. It certainly happens on a one-to-one level. But if we're willing to take a country and all of its challenges into our heart and recognize the suffering, but also not be overcome by the suffering, just to hold the suffering with compassion and attentiveness, then something greater than ourselves, something greater than the suffering, evolves and goes to work, becomes present and goes to work. So again, just a quick recap. We are awake to what is and who you are. We surrender to the body of spaciousness, all of the space between our cells and between our atoms. We hold everything, ourselves and everyone else, in compassionate presence. And then, thinking about it, it doesn't have to stop there. We take action in our own unique way of service. We become the intersection of the horizontal and the vertical. That's my personal interpretation of the cross, although I don't think it comes from me. I think I read it somewhere that the cross is looking at the vertical plane, which is the planet Earth, which is matter, and the horizontal plane, the vertical, I got it backwards. Okay, thank you for that. Looking at the horizontal plane, which is Earth and matter, and then looking at the vertical plane, which is our connection to the divine, right? and the two meet in the middle, right? Or I wanted to find an equal across, that was more like this, but we wanted the two meet in the middle. And what is in the middle but the heart of the Christ, which is all of the things I've been talking about. Awakeness, awakening, compassion, spaciousness, great love, the I am presence, all of these things. When we are able to do that, when we are able to hold what is happening on the horizontal plane in our hearts, that prepares us to receive more from the vertical plane, to receive the guidance that we need. You know, we were talking about this in class the other day, where just a good example of how we don't do this is many of us, myself included, walk around braced for attack, or braced for disaster, or braced for some type of failure, or braced for some type of disappointment all the time. You can feel it in your bodies. We're often so not conscious of it. Again, it's like that monk who thought he was a dog, you know, since he was a puppy. We just learned that it's normal to walk around feeling braced. My biggest experience with understanding that was at the dentist getting my teeth cleaned. I have a very, very, very gentle dental hygienist. I actually enjoy having my teeth cleaned. But I noticed, even though I knew it wasn't going to hurt, I'm sitting in the chair like this, right? Please don't hurt me. Please don't hurt me. Please don't hurt me. So all of my cells were saying, please don't hurt me. And I would have to consciously say, no, relax. Cynthia Bourgeault, in her book, says if we're expecting a confrontation, to relax the body first. And then we will have more vertical input if our bodies are relaxed. It's just something to think about. I don't know if anybody's scheduled here to go to the dentist anytime soon, but the dentist or whatever we're doing, whenever we're rushing around, whenever we're feeling tense about something, try relaxing. Tension feels like it speeds you up, like you can get more done. It really doesn't. Relaxing, being relaxed, allows us to do more in a more satisfying manner because we're present to what we're doing. And we also have guidance from the vertical plane. So there's that. We connect to Source and we allow it to pour through us. And I said our unique expressions of compassion. Now this doesn't have to do with Ukraine, but I just happened upon it and I just thought it was adorable. This is a Lego MRI machine. And it's a unique, I put it because it's a unique expression of somebody's creative compassion. It was made by, I'm assuming, I wasn't able to read the whole article because of, the internet being out and all. But I'm assuming that somebody at Lego had a child that had some type of an illness and that needed to have an MRI, and the child was afraid. And so this designer made a Lego MRI machine. And it's really cute. Like if you look on you probably can't see it so well from here, but if you look on the slides later on Facebook, it's just really cute. The little kid is sitting up waving, and it's also from a miracle site that happened right after coronavirus started. Somebody started a site, Service Space, started a site called www.karunavirus.org, and karuna is compassion in Sanskrit, and saying that karuna spreads faster than corona. So those are two examples of unique creativity. And then, of course, we apply all of this focus, all of this uniqueness, all of this awakening, all of this looking at the chatter in our heads, all of us holding it in spaciousness, all of us holding it in this place where we can actually allow the vertical presence to come into our consciousness and facilitate some type of healing that is greater than the situation that we're holding. We apply that to the situation in Ukraine. Creative compassion. I think this photo went viral, but I put it up here anyway. This is creative compassion. It's a bunch of baby buggies, in case you can't see it well. And when refugees were coming into Poland, I believe, many of the mothers in Poland knew that the mothers in Ukraine would be leaving without any supplies. They would have to get out in a hurry, and they may have young children. And so they left a parade of baby buggies at the train station, so that the young moms could get off and have a place to place their children safely and held in the arms not the literal arms, but the baby buggy arms of these generous and creative and kind, compassionate Polish women that were doing what they could to help in a creative manner. And then the last thing is perhaps we could practice radical gentleness. This is another story from Ukraine. It's a story that I heard when I did a global call for prayers for Ukraine with Service Base. I co-hosted it. And we had several people there that had relatives in Ukraine and some that were from Poland and other neighboring countries. And one of them said that she was in her town, I think it was a small town, and the soldiers had captured a Russian soldier. The Ukrainian soldiers had captured a Russian soldier, and they brought him back to the town. And I think that the soldier thought, oh, well, this is it. They're going to kill me. They're going to shoot me in the town square. They're going to stone me. They're going to do something. They're going to torture me. They're going to be horrible to me. And they held him, and they gathered a circle around him. And what happened was one of the women had soup. And she went up to the soldier, and she said, you must be hungry. Here's some soup for you. This is a Russian soldier. And he accepted the soup with gratitude. And then another Ukrainian woman went up to the Russian soldier, and she handed him her cell phone. And she said, call your parents. They must be worried about you. Tell them that you're alive and that you're going to be okay. That is radical gentleness. And we all have the capacity for that. We all have the capacity to express our kindness, to express our grace, to express our goodness, to express the I am presence that we are underneath the layers that we put upon it. We express our spaciousness, express our attentiveness, all of the things that we've been talking about. That is how we can focus on the helpers and become the helpers we wish to see in the world. It's all of those things and so much more, however it uniquely speaks through you to serve from that place of pure grace. One more quote from Mr. Rogers, our friend. Imagine what our real neighborhoods would be like if each of us offered, as a matter of course, just one kind word to another person. And that's part of what I'm talking about too. We can certainly offer prayers and support and love and funds and supplies to countries across the world, but we also can start in our own neighborhoods. Start today. Offer a kind word to somebody sitting in the sanctuary, not now, but when you go into the social hall afterwards. Offer a kind word to the people you see in the when you're going outside, you know. It's that beautiful poem that Reverend Judy Pando read last week where she was talking about how we can't do this, we can't stop the tanks individually, we can't stop a sniper's bullet individually, but what we can do is to love the next person standing in front of us. And we can love them in all kinds of ways. All kinds of creative ways, through kindness, through grace, through honoring their spaciousness, through being a good listener, being fully present with them. Whatever it is that Spirit moves you to do, as long as you know from it's a place of radical kindness, even simple kindness, even a first step towards kindness, that is truly a step in the right direction. One more thing I want you to know is that we're talking about this here in church this morning. How many churches, synagogues, mosques, temples, fundamentalists, atheists do you think are also talking about this topic? How many people around the world are praying for peace? So many. More than we could count. More than our hearts could hold, but it's good to know that they're there. And I'm going to close with this picture. This is from the service-based call that I did. It's a Zoom call. And this is probably about a quarter, maybe less, maybe a tenth of the people that were on that call. And so we prayed on that call. And they all have probably 100 people in their lives that are praying on that call, that are praying once they heard about the call. We're all called to prayer. We're all called to be the helpers that we wish to see in the world. And at the same time, it's not leaving it up to others. All of these thousands and thousands of people that are praying, it starts with us, being the helper, doing all of the things that we've talked about, creating peace on earth through our own goodwill, through our own conscious acceptance of I am, through our own willingness to be the change. Thank you very much. Namaste. Oh, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And so let us center into that divine place, that place of the Spirit that we know so beautifully, and yet we have no words to describe it. It's something that we feel and something that we trust, that God is love, God is power, God is peace. God is the peace that passes human understanding. God is imagination. God is creativity. God is abundant help. God is both sorrow and joy, shadow and light. God is all things. It is that which contains everything, that which is beyond words, that circle whose center is nowhere, whose circumference is everywhere. This is what God is. And how wonderful to unify with that right now, to know that this is who we are as well. That although we appear to be in separate bodies, we all have this commonality of spirit, commonality of spaciousness, all of this space that we share, all of the breath that we share. We are all one with the essence of the universe, which is love, happiness, joy, peace. And so I unify with knowing that right now, not only with my mind, not only with my heart, but in my body. I feel my body relax into its native spaciousness, into the knowing of the I am that I am. And from this place, we have great power to speak the word and to trust that the energy of Spirit rushes to fill in where we speak and where we trust and where we know. And so right here and right now, I speak a word of peace for each of us sitting here in this sanctuary, knowing that our time together here today through the power of community has brought us to a greater understanding of peace and a greater understanding of the peace that abides within us always, underneath all of the layers. I know also that that peace is manifested in unique and wonderful ways for each of us, and that that peace that we carry with us encompasses the whole world, starting with the next person in front of us, starting with our day-to-day encounters, starting with the way that we speak to ourselves. And I say a special prayer of peace for Ukraine and the surrounding countries, for Russia, trusting that the mantle of peace has already descended upon them, that it is lifting up from the world and coming down from the heavens and engulfing them in this beautiful mantle, in this beautiful, beautiful, powerful wave of peace that fills every heart, that inspires goodness, and that brings joy and resolution to everybody. And so I'm just so grateful for this sacred time together, so grateful for this power and this presence, so grateful for this love, so grateful for what I know that is already true, all of the transformation, for the peace in the world, for the peace in our hearts and our bodies and our minds, for peace for all of us, for the outpicturing of this peace all around us in every life that we encounter. I give thanks for this word, as I give thanks for all things. I bless all paths to God, churches, synagogues, temples, mosques, ashrams, fundamentalists, atheists, all beings everywhere, the animal kingdom, the kingdom of nature, the cosmos. It is all so beautiful. It is all such an incredible gift to each of us, and may we receive it fully with peace and joy and love and understanding. With a heart that is so filled with gratitude and so filled with a sense of grace, I release these words into the divine mystery, and together we say, and so it is. Namaste.
Good morning. It is a delight to have you here this morning to share with you another story from our favorite, Pete the Cat, and this is The Great Leprechaun Chase, just to remind us, as Mr. Bill did this morning, what luck really is, having to do with faith and love. Ready? This is Pete the Cat and the Great Leprechaun Chase, written by James Dean. Tomorrow is St. Patrick's Day, and Pete's teacher, Mr. G, is teaching about leprechauns. Now, the only time you can catch one is St. Patrick's Day. A leprechaun will bring you good luck, Mr. G says. Now, everyone in the class wants a leprechaun. Pete gets a great idea. He'll open a leprechaun catching business. St. Patrick's Day comes, and Pete gathers some supplies, and he hangs a sign above his stand. This'll be easy, Pete says. Squirrel is Pete's first customer. I want a leprechaun, Squirrel says. I need good luck for my test. Cool, I'm on it, says Pete. Your turn. Cool, I'm on it. Pete has a plan. I have a plan. I have a plan. We'll follow the rainbow till we find a leprechaun. And finally, Pete arrives at the end of the rainbow and finds Clover the leprechaun standing next to a pot of gold. And Pete sneaks up behind Clover. Swoosh! Nice. But Clover's too fast. Did you think you could catch me so easily? He asks. Ready? Once there was a cat named Pete who thought nabbing some luck would be so neat. Then he happened upon a smart leprechaun who he'll find quite tricky to beat. Oh, that's it. Now Clover disappears in a puff of green smoke, and Pete will need a new plan. I need a new plan. That afternoon, Gus visits Pete's lucky leprechaun catchers. I want a leprechaun, Gus says. I need good luck for my band recital. Pete says, I'll see what I can do.
See what I can do.
Very nice. Pete plans to lure Clover out with his music, and he plays a jaunty song on his guitar. Before long, Clover dances over to Pete. Just a little closer, Pete thinks. But suddenly, Pete starts spinning around because round and round Clover goes faster and faster. Oh, no! Oh, no! Clover wraps up Pete with a rope. Pete has finally met his match, a crafty leprechaun he just can't catch. He'll never win. He better give in or find something else to snatch. Oh, that's good. That evening, Callie visits Pete's lucky leprechaun catchers. I want a leprechaun, Callie says. I need good luck for my tennis match. Says Pete. St. Patrick's Day's almost over. There's not much time to catch a leprechaun, but Pete won't give up yet. Pete sets a trap for Clover, and before long, Clover tiptoes up to the trap and sniffs the air. Nice sniffing. I love candy, he whispers, peering under the box. Pete waits very quietly. Crash! Pete rushes over and checks underneath the trap, but it's empty. Clover skips away. Pete has tried many a plot, but still I haven't yet been caught. And isn't it dandy? I even got candy. Well, Pete ends up with squat. Oh, that's good. Now, Pete has an idea. He follows the trail of spilled candy to Clover's secret hideout, and Pete sneaks up behind Clover. Swoosh! Oh, that's good. Pete finally catches Clover. Hooray!
Hooray!
What about you guys? Hooray! Oh, that's good. All right. Why do you want me, Clover asks. I'm helping my friends who need some extra luck, Pete says. Luck doesn't come from having a leprechaun, says Clover. You and your friends have each other. That already makes you as lucky as can be. Could Clover be right?
Can Clover be right?
Pete is one very lucky cat. A lucky cat doesn't need a lucky leprechaun. And he lets Clover go. Everybody, hooray! Oh, I love this. Pete decides that he'll be the good luck his friends need by helping them out himself. He helps Squirrel study for his test, and Squirrel aces it. You know the drill, hooray! Pete helps Gus rehearse for the recital, and Gus rocks it. Everybody with your air guitar? Pete helps Callie practice for her match, and Callie wins it. You know the drill. Hooray! Now Clover magically appears. Good job, Pete, says Clover. I have one more poem for you. While Clover played hide and seek, Pete learned something quite unique. The love that you make beats love that you take. Any old day of the week, the week. The end. Take a bow.
All right. So let's turn within and just be that place of peace. Anchoring ourselves again, pulling off the layers and going into that center place where we are that peace that passes human understanding. But that peace that is contained yet not contained in the spaciousness within us. And so we anchor ourselves in that spaciousness. We feel it flowing through us, through our bodies, through our hearts, and through our minds, leaving room for the better yet to be. And we leave this sanctuary today knowing that good work has been done here today. We leave our sanctuary today knowing that the better yet to be is always evolving, and we may not know what it looks like, but we trust that it comes to us and comes through us, and that we can be that change. We can be that beacon of peace that we wish to see in the world. And so with great gratitude for all of this and for so much more, for our community, for the good work that we do together, for every single person viewing this service, whether in person, whether online, whether in the future, we give great thanks. And I release this word, this ripple of goodness into the law, into the mystery, into the world, and together we say, and so it is. Namaste.